And we have another one here. This one comes from Life Saved Number. I want to make sure that I get it correct here. Oh, this isn't the same one that I was looking for here. This comes from Solomon. This came from back in February, was sent to us. Hello, Pop and Toxic Male. I've been following your channel for a couple of years now, and I honestly don't know anyone who is better at discussing harsh truths while also being so hilarious. I appreciate what you're doing, and you never fail to make me laugh. By the way, I think it's important to also mention that I have actually lost count how many times YouTube has automatically unsubscribed me from your channel. That never happens. It's a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, we get that quite a bit.
Always remember that if it ever seems like you're losing subscribers. Anyway, I'm 33, single, have a very simple, peaceful life, which is the way I like it. I do have some pretty insane RP stories of things that I have witnessed happen to men in my family, and I also have my own story from years ago of how I dated a psycho who left me because I wouldn't hand over my debit card so she could invest my money in what was obviously a pyramid scheme. Please send this story in.
Yeah.
She didn't waste any time. She left me right away and immediately jumped into the arms of some really nice, wealthy blue pill guy. I'm pretty sure she was his first love. She different. She loves me. They got married a month later.
Yeah.
And then very shortly after, she divorced him and moved to Florida. Well then, I will definitely share those stories in another email. However, I also have a paranormal story that I want to share, and for now, I'll stick to that. One last thing before I get to the paranormal story. My brother is a captain in the Marine Corps, and he has had Marines under him come home and commit self-deletion because of horrible stuff their wives did to them. So, like Pop, he can also attest to having to attend those funerals. It's horrible and tragic. Please keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's why we're here, man. Send these videos to your Marine buddies because this is messed up. In 2008, while I was in Guatemala, I came face to face with an apparition. I've only shared this story with a small handful of people, and I never really planned on talking about it so much, but I felt like sharing it with you guys. I was 19 at the time, and I had volunteered to go to Guatemala for 3 months on a church mission trip. I was with a group of about 12 people, and we traveled all over the country doing a variety of things, from helping landscape a school playground area to painting and repairing church buildings, to helping distribute medical and hygiene supplies to people, etc. I worked construction jobs through my high school years, so because of that experience, I got stuck with a lot of the dirty grunt jobs, which I didn't mind. Hey, those dud jobs pay. Maybe not on a church mission trip, but you come back to the private sector, they pay.
Yep.
I sort of fell in love with Guatemala. I really appreciated the simplicity, and a lot of the people were really nice. There were plenty of young women over there that were traditional and very respectful to men, and could also cook like nobody's business.
Oh, yeah.
And if they're Guatemalan, they probably got asses that won't quit. Kind of like this lady. But she's a redhead, which means it'll go banana pudding in about 3 years.
Yeah, you got 36 months, I say.
No offense to the ginger hamsters in the room, of course.
No, I totally understand your point. I get it.
Hamster's like, yeah, I remember the time that I walked in through the bathroom in the dark and I caught a glimpse of my own ass. Well, they resuscitated me, and here I am today.
That's about right, too.
That actually happened we used to rent a room to a buddy of mine, and he got up in the middle of the night. You know, he had a lady of the evening over or whatever. He was getting out, and we have a huge mirror at the end of our hallway, and he was so out of it, he thought somebody was walking up on him in the hallway. Yeah. He scared the shit out of himself and woke everyone in the house up.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that stuff. There we got here. My Spanish is not very good, so unfortunately the language barrier became an issue after a very short conversation. My favorite place in Guatemala was a quiet town called San Miguel Chicaj. We spent about 3 weeks there, and that town was really laid back and friendly. While we were there in San Miguel, one of the local pastors who coordinated with our team told us his church was sending a small group to one of the indigenous villages and asked if we wanted to go along. So we did. I'm probably being overly cautious, but out of respect for the people, I'll keep the name of this village anonymous. It was a very large, I think he meant to say fairly, but he said, it's a very large farming village way up in the mountains. God. And it was very, I thought, oh my gosh, I bet they drink Bud Light there.
Sure they do, yes.
Yeah. Most of the people in this village didn't even speak Spanish. No, they were too busy lisping. Shad, it's a fairy village. They spoke an indigenous language called Achi, or Aki, maybe. The pastor in San Miguel and his team all spoke Achi, and their goal was to teach Spanish to the children. They made regular trips to some of these villages and would spend a couple of days at a time there teaching the children. Knowing Spanish would allow the young people to leave the village and enable them to go to college or get better jobs elsewhere in the country. Basically, knowing Spanish was key for these kids if they wanted to do anything with their life besides live in the mountains and farm. So it was an admirable thing that this San Miguel church was doing. On this particular trip, my team was mostly just along for the ride, and the plan was to spend 2 days and 1 night, and then drive back to San Miguel. We all loaded up into 2 large vans, and it was about a 3-hour drive from San Miguel. Part of the reason it took 3 hours was because of the muddy, pothole-ridden, narrow road that zigzagged the mountains. We couldn't really go above 20 miles an hour for the latter half of the drive because of the conditions. Also, occasional loose livestock from a nearby farm would wander out onto the road. You shouldn't talk about Pop's ex-girlfriends that way.
Yeah.
Oh,
There we go.
You hog-slaying bastard. Pop's coming after him with an empty lasagna tray. What gives?
Yeah, he's not lying about the road conditions down there.
Oh, I bet.
I've driven a lot down.
Probably worse than Cleveland.
Oh, it's like they have the roads carved into the side of the mountains and that kind of shit, and mudslides and all that.
I never went on one of those roads. I would refuse.
Yeah, no.
I'd be like, nope, you're taking me in there in a chopper.
Yeah, no kidding.
I am not getting on any kind of bus, truck, anything. Nope, not happening.
Get to the chopper.
You're flying me there. Fuck it. You can just
Well, I mean, the
scratch me
mud
off the
path
list.
is the same size as the truck. It's like, no,
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
Naturally. He continues here, when we finally arrived in the village, I immediately did not like it. There wasn't anything personal against the people, but I felt a heaviness in my chest as soon as we entered, and the place just felt depressing. It just wasn't me. Other people felt it too. Some of the locals did not like us being there either. They weren't too thrilled about the Guatemalan church members being there teaching Spanish to the kids either. A few of the locals were nice, but others not so much. I decided to make the most of it, but I was glad to know we were only spending 1 night. On the outskirts of the main village was the school building. It was a long cement and steel building with several rooms inside and a covered patio that ran the length of the building. I was wondering what such a large building was doing in such an isolated village like this. Obviously, an outside source had to have constructed it. Speaking to the locals usually required 2 translators. A Guatemalan pastor translated from Achi to Spanish, and then one of our team members translated from Spanish to English. That's
Wow.
One way to make a conversation 3 times as long.
Yep.
So through 2 translators, we were told by some of the village elders that the large school building was built by the military during the Guatemalan Civil War and used as a torture chamber during the Mayan genocide.
Oh, wow.
From what we were told, a lot of horrible stuff happened there, but after it was over and things were cleaned up, the Guatemalan army just left the building behind. So the village turned it into a schoolhouse. Suddenly, it all made sense.
All right.
Why there was a large fortified building in this hidden away village. I bet no weird shit happens there.
Yeah, that oppressive feeling.
Yep.
I had that the entire time I lived at Abu Ghraib prison.
Oh, I would be shocked if you didn't.
Yeah, it was fucking hell on earth, man.
Oof. Our team leaders shortly after informed us that we would all be sleeping in the school building that night.
Oh, God.
I think I know where this is going.
It'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
What's
No
the
problem.
worst that could happen?
What could go wrong? It'll be different. This building loves me. I made a sarcastic statement about how I was already feeling so cheerful about this place, and I didn't think things could get any better. But
There you go.
some people didn't think it was funny. That evening, we all ate dinner at one of the local villagers' houses. They had typical outdoor kitchen area with a roof and no walls, and that's where we all congregated and ate by the cooking fire. One of the family members broke out a guitar and played some music while we all watched the mountainous landscape get dark as night came. I have to admit, even though that village gave me a heavy feeling, that particular part of the night was very pleasant. When it all started to get really dark, we made our way down the hill from our dinner house to the school building. All the desks and chairs had been cleared in 2 of the classrooms for us to sleep in. We all slept in sleeping bags on a cement floor.
Done it many times.
Yeah. All the women slept in one room, and all the guys slept in the adjacent room. As I was laying in my sleeping bag, I couldn't help but think about how many innocent people might have been tortured to death in the very room that I'm sleeping in. But to be honest, it didn't bother me that much since there were so many of us. It would have been a lot creepier if I was alone. I guess count your blessings.
Yeah.
We were all exhausted, and everyone fell asleep quickly, including myself. I woke up a couple of hours later, and I had to urinate like a racehorse. I've been drinking a lot of water to stay hydrated, and when I awoke around 1 a.m., my bladder felt like it was going to burst. This is how I knew I was not dreaming. I was totally awake. I had to pee so bad I was as awake can be. I sat up quietly, felt around for my flashlight. It was somewhere in the folds of my sleeping bag, and I didn't want to rustle around and wake people, so I gave up trying to find it. The room was totally dark, but I could see just enough moonlight seeping through the cracked window shades from the keyhole in the door to find my way out. Damn. I slowly made my way over to the door while tiptoeing around all the other guys sleeping. Finally got to the door, went outside, started briskly walking along the patio towards some bushes at the end of the building. That's when I saw someone at the other end of the building walking my way. It was a partly cloudy night, and the moon was out between clouds, but under the patio roof it was too dark to make out specific details. All I could see was a shadowy figure walking along the patio toward me. I stopped and thought to myself that some local yahoo was probably coming around to try to mess with us or steal our stuff while we were asleep. That was my first thought. As I said earlier, some of the people in this village were not very friendly, and if it was one of my team members from either my group or the San Miguel Church, they would have already said something. This person walking toward me on the patio was totally silent. My bladder was still completely full, but I wasn't thinking about that anymore. I walked straight up to this guy to confront him. I don't speak a word about cheese, so I didn't know what I was going to say, but I was going to say something. I knew it wasn't a child because the figure was about my height and I'm 5'11". I honestly thought it was just a thief lurking around. When I got within 10 or so feet of this person, I realized it was not a person. There were no facial features, and it didn't have any feet touching the ground.
Whoa, all right.
It was like a shadow standing upright. Up until that point, it seemed like it didn't care about my presence. But once I got within a few feet of it, it all of a sudden stopped. And I stopped. For a split second, I was just standing there face to face with it. It all happened fast. An intense, tingling sensation ran down my entire body, and I got major goosebumps. Major goosebumps. Yep. And I could not believe what I was seeing, and major fight or flight reaction took over. I was freaked out, but after that split-second stare down, I got such a surge of adrenaline that I lunged at the apparition like I was going to fight it. Hopefully this went okay. Well, obviously it did. You're here. Pure reaction. I had so much adrenaline going through me, and my body was tingling so hard I didn't even feel like I was in control of my actions. The moment I lunged at it, the figure spun around and ran straight through the cement wall of the school building and disappeared.
No way.
That's actually how you're supposed to handle it. That is exactly how you handle that.
Just like when you get attacked by a bear, you just try to make yourself big. And
No. Like, I've seen quite a few videos where there's shadows, and where people are like, "You don't scare me. Get the fuck out of here." And they drive it out of the room. Because I mean, this is the Earth plane. We have priority. So fuck them.
Yeah.
Damn.
Just run at it. Zool, motherfucker, zool.
Occupy its space. Like, fuck off.
Yeah.
I know it's easier said than done.
Now, the next thing that he did makes perfect sense to me.
He pissed.
I started pissing my pants, and my mind went kind of blank.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yep.
I think so.
No one is going to judge you for that. Not at this particular point.
These things happen, man.
I ran down to the end of the building and finished urinating into the bushes and then ran back inside the classroom. And this time I didn't care if I woke anybody up. I stepped on and tripped over a couple of guys sleeping on the floor as I quickly and carelessly made my way back to my sleeping bag. The following morning, I didn't tell anyone what happened. I was just glad when we all loaded up in the vans and drove back to San Miguel. One night in that village was long enough for me. However, I do want to add that I am grateful to the local people who were kind to us, and I wish them the best. The children in that village that were learning Spanish would all be in their 20s now, and I hope they're living happy, fulfilling lives, and I really mean it. That's my paranormal account, and I hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully, I'll have some time to write again soon and share some hilarious RP stories. Well, thank you very much, Solomon.
Yeah, and I had a soldier in one of my companies who was a chaplain's assistant, and he was in seminary school, and he used to go to Haiti to, what do they call that when they try to like recruit more people?
Missionary.
Yeah,
Missionaries.
And he's like, yeah, well, that voodoo shit's fucking real. I seen some crazy fucking shit.
Oh, I bet he
Can't explain it. And I'm like, hey, God, boy, hook me up with a witch doctor. He's like, I will not.
I will not.
I'm like, I need him to put a whammy on somebody. Absolutely not, Sergeant. That's
bucks.
not gonna happen.
Big bucks, no whammies, and voodoo. All right.
I'm serious. I pestered him for years. Come on, I want to use the whammy. No.
Come on. No. Stop fucking around, Pop.
I wasn't fucking around. I really wanted to throw the whammy on some people.
Are these people who are, just that bad that they can't even be on the beat on site list? You got to go full whammy instead?
One is my ex-wife.
Shocker.
And the other one was Dina.
You're going to get sued, man.
And there's like one or two other people I would have put the whammy on.
The whammy.
But he said no, and what do you got to do?
I'm just saying that I don't think whammy is a technical term in the voodoo religion, because could you imagine, like Tony Todd and Candyman trying to come out like, I think what we need here is a whammy. What? I sell whammies. 50 gold pieces. Are you out of your fucking whammy? You're a crackpot. Get the fuck out of here.
I'm just, I was in a bad mental state. I was going to have the whammy put on some people.
So instead of just, shitting in a Pringles can and mailing it to him, you decided to go the supernatural.
You know who came up with the term whammy?
No.
Walker. He was in my team. He was always like, you should just get a witch doctor, put a whammy on her. I'm like, yeah, that seems like a legitimate idea.
Watch Grunt Speak live every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to join Pop for Supporter Sundays, go to redonkulous.com/donate and make a monthly pledge. A link is in the Meat Gazer box.